The slave ship landed on the golden sands of Prime just as the 3 suns began to set. Han stood in chains with 30 other prisoners. His uniform was torn. His face was dirty. His body was weak from weeks without proper food, but his eyes were still sharp. They watched everything. The buyers walked past the prisoners slowly. They were tall and thin. Their skin was pale blue, almost like ice. Their eyes were large and silver, and they moved with grace that made humans look clumsy. They pointed at some prisoners. They shook their heads at others. When they came to, they stopped. One of them laughed. It was a cold sound. "A human," they said. "What use is a human? They break so easily. They die so fast. They are nothing but soft meat and weak bones." The slave trader, a fat creature with 4 arms, spoke quickly. "This one is strong for a human. He was a soldier. He can carry things. He can clean. He can do simple work." "Simple work," they repeated. He looked at with disgust. "Very well. The palace needs workers for the lower halls. He will do until he dies." Did not speak. He had learned that speaking only brought pain. So he stayed silent as they put him in a transport ship. He stayed silent as they flew over a beautiful city made of crystal and light. He stayed silent as they brought him to the royal palace. The palace was the largest building had ever seen. It rose into the sky like a mountain made by gods. Its walls were white and smooth. Its towers touched the clouds. Everywhere he looked there was beauty, but knew that beautiful places could hide ugly truths. They gave him simple clothes, gray and rough, the clothes of a servant. They gave him a small room with no window. The room had a bed that was too short and a blanket that was too thin, but it was better than the slave ship. Anything was better than the slave ship. His first job was to clean the floors of the lower halls. The floors were made of stone that shined like mirrors. He had to make them perfect. If there was even one spot, the guards would beat him. So worked hard. He cleaned until his hands were red and sore. He cleaned until his back ached. He cleaned until he could barely stand. Days passed, then weeks. Learned the ways of the palace. He learned which guards were cruel and which ones did not care. He learned which doors led where. He learned to be invisible. A good servant was never seen and never heard, became very good at being invisible. One day, while cleaning near the throne room, heard voices. He pressed himself against the wall and listened. It was wrong to listen. If they caught him, they would hurt him badly, but was curious. It was a weakness he could not control. "The queen is worried," a voice said. "There have been threats against the princess." "Threats from who?" "The outer clans. They do not accept the queen's rule. They say the princess is not fit to be heir. They say she is weak." "The princess is just a child." "That does not matter to them. They want the bloodline ended." Moved away silently. He did not want to hear more. Politics were dangerous. Getting involved in politics was a good way to die. But the next morning, everything changed. Was cleaning a hallway near the royal gardens when he saw her for the first time. The princess. She was small, even for a. Her skin was lighter blue than the others. Her hair was silver like starlight. She could not be more than 8 or 9 years old by human counting. She was playing alone in the garden. She had a small ball and she was throwing it against a wall and catching it. There were no other children around. There were no guards watching her. She was completely alone. Found this strange. If there were threats against her, why was she alone? Did no one care? Or were they so confident in their safety that they did not think to watch her? The princess saw him. Their eyes met, quickly looked down. He was not supposed to look at royalty. He was nothing less than nothing. But the princess did not look away. She walked toward him. Her steps were light like she was floating. "You are a human," she said. Her voice was soft and curious. "I have never seen a human before." Did not know what to do. Speaking to royalty without permission was forbidden, but ignoring royalty was also forbidden. He was trapped. "Yes, princess," he said quietly, "I am human." You look different. Your skin is so warm-colored and your eyes are so small." She tilted her head. "Are you dangerous?" Almost smiled. "Almost. No, princess, I am just a cleaner. My mother says humans are weak and useless. She says they die from everything. Is that true?" "Humans are different," said carefully. "We are not like, but we have our own strengths." "What strengths?" Thought about this. What could he say? That humans could run for hours without stopping. That humans could survive wounds that killed other species. That humans came from a world so dangerous that simply living on it made them strong. "We do not give up," said finally. "That is our strength, we never give up." The princess looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "I like that," she said. "I will remember that." "Princess," a sharp voice called. A woman in fine robes rushed into the garden. She grabbed the princess by the arm. "What are you doing talking to a servant? And a human servant at that? Come away at once." The woman pulled the princess away. But Princess looked back at one more time. She waved. It was a tiny wave, a secret wave. Then she was gone. Stood there for a moment. Something had changed. He could feel it. This small moment, this tiny conversation had connected him to the princess. He did not know why. He did not understand it. But he knew that his life in this palace would never be the same. That night in his small room, thought about the princess. She was just a child surrounded by enemies, a child with no friends, a child who might not live to see another year if the outer clans had their way. He told himself it was not his problem. He told himself to stay quiet and stay invisible. He told himself to survive and nothing more. But deep in his heart, a small fire began to burn, a fire that humans knew well, the fire of protection. The fire that made fathers die for children and soldiers die for strangers. Closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but the fire did not go out. It only grew stronger. 3 months passed in the palace. Learned to live in the shadows. He cleaned, he carried, he served, and every day he watched. He watched the guards train with weapons that glowed with blue energy. He watched the nobles whisper secrets to each other. He watched the servants move through the palace like ghosts. He learned the rhythm of this place. He learned its heartbeat. And sometimes, when he was lucky, he saw Princess. She always smiled when she saw him. A quick smile, a secret smile. Sometimes she would say hello when no one was looking. Sometimes she would ask him questions about Earth. What did the sky look like? What was water that fell from clouds? Did humans really eat meat from animals? Answered her questions as best as he could. He told her about rain and snow. He told her about forests and oceans. He told her about dogs and cats and birds. Her eyes would grow wide with wonder. For those brief moments, she was not a princess. She was just a curious child. But those moments were rare. Most of the time was alone with his mop and his bucket and his silence. The day of the Festival of Three Suns arrived with great excitement. It was the most important day on Prime. All 3 suns would align in the sky at the same moment. The queen herself would lead a grand procession through the city. The princess would walk beside her. Every servant in the palace worked hard to prepare. The floors had to be perfect. The walls had to shine. The gardens had to bloom with fresh flowers. Worked until his muscles screamed and his hands bled from scrubbing. On the morning of the festival, the palace was chaos. Nobles ran around in their finest clothes. Guards stood at every door. Musicians practiced their songs. Cooks prepared mountains of food. Was assigned to clean the processional route one final time. He walked through the streets with other servants, picking up any dirt or debris. The buildings around them were decorated with golden banners. The people of the city gathered on both sides of the street, waiting to see their queen. As worked, he felt something strange, a feeling in his gut, a warning. He had learned to trust this feeling during his years as a soldier. It had saved his life many times. He looked around carefully. Everything seemed normal. The crowd was happy. The guards were in position. The sky was clear and beautiful with all three suns shining bright. But the feeling did not go away. The horns sounded. The procession was starting, and the other servants moved to the side of the street. They were supposed to bow and stay still until the royal family passed. Queen came first. She was tall and beautiful and terrible. Her blue skin was perfect. Her silver eyes were cold like frozen stars. She wore a dress made of light itself, and it flowed behind her like liquid fire. She did not look at the crowd. She looked straight ahead, like the people around her were not worthy of her attention. Behind her walked Princess. She looked so small next to her mother. She wore a smaller version of the queen's dress. Her silver hair was decorated with tiny crystals. She looked nervous. Her small hands were shaking slightly. Watched them pass. He should have looked away. He should have kept his head down, but he could not stop watching the princess. Then he saw it. On a balcony above the street there was movement. A figure in dark clothes, a weapon in their hands, knew that shape. He knew what it meant. "Get down," he screamed. He did not think. His body moved on its own. He pushed through the crowd. He jumped past the guards. He ran straight for the princess. The first shot of plasma fire hit the ground where the princess had been standing. The second shot missed her head by inches. The third shot would have killed her. But was there? He threw his body over the princess and pulled her to the ground. He covered her completely with himself. He became her shield. The plasma fire hit his back, once, twice, 3 times. The pain was beyond anything had ever felt. It was like being burned and frozen at the same time. He felt his skin melt. He felt his muscles cook. He smelled his own flesh burning. But he did not move. He could not move. If he moved, the princess would die. More shots came. Guards finally started fighting back. There were screams and shouts and chaos all around. Heard none of it. All he could hear was his own heart pounding and the small voice of the princess beneath him. "Let me go," she cried. "You are hurt. You must let me go." "Stay down," managed to say. His voice was weak. "Stay down until it is safe." "But you are dying." "Then I die." The shooting stopped. Guards surrounded them. Hands pulled off the princess. He saw the sky above him, blue and endless. He saw faces looking down at him with shock and confusion. Then he saw Queen. She stood over him, looking at his ruined body. Her face showed nothing. No anger, no fear, no gratitude, just cold observation. "The human saved my daughter," someone said. "That is not possible," another voice replied. "Look at his wounds. No one can survive that. He should already be dead." Tried to speak. He wanted to say something, but darkness was closing in around him. His body was giving up. He had pushed it too far. The last thing he saw was Princess. She was safe. She was crying, but she was safe. Guards held her back as she tried to reach him. She was calling his name. "Please do not die, please." Then there was only darkness. When the darkness became less dark, felt confusion. He should be dead. He had taken enough plasma fire to kill 10. His spine should be gone. His organs should be ash. But he was not dead. He opened his eyes slowly. Everything was blurry. White ceiling, bright lights, the smell of medicine and clean sheets. "He is awake," a voice said. There was shock in that voice. "By all the stars, he is actually awake." A face appeared above him, a doctor. Her silver eyes were wide with disbelief. "How are you alive?" she asked. "Your wounds, we could see your bones, your organs were exposed. You should not be breathing." Tried to speak. His throat was dry and rough. "Water," he managed to say. They gave him water. It was the best thing he had ever tasted. "How long?" he asked. 3 days, the doctor said. "You have been unconscious for 3 days. We did what we could, but honestly, we expected you to die within hours. Your body has been healing on its own, at a rate we have never seen." Closed his eyes. He knew what was happening. Human bodies were built for survival. They healed from wounds that would kill other species. They kept fighting when all hope was lost. Evolution on a death world had made humanity tough in ways that aliens could not understand. The princess said, "Is she safe?" The doctor looked at him strangely. "Yes, thanks to you. The assassins were from the outer clans as we suspected. They have all been captured." Nodded, that was all that mattered. "You should rest," the doctor said. "You are still badly hurt, even if your healing is unusual, you need time." But as the doctor walked away, heard her speaking to someone else. "Inform the queen. The human is awake," she wanted to know immediately. Did not know what that meant, but he was too tired to worry. Sleep took him again, and this time it was peaceful. He had done his duty. He had protected the child. Whatever came next, he could face it. The healing room became his world for the next 2 weeks. Doctors came and went. They looked at his wounds. They took notes. They spoke in quiet voices that they thought he could not hear. "It is impossible," they said again and again. "No species can heal like this." But did heal. Every day his wounds grew smaller. New skin grew over the burned flesh. Muscles rebuilt themselves. The pain, which had been terrible at first, slowly became easier to bear. The doctors did not understand. They could not understand. They had never seen a human body pushed to its limits and still refuse to die. Had seen it many times during the war. He had seen soldiers with bullets in their chests keep fighting. He had seen men with broken bones walk for miles. He had seen women lose blood that should have killed them and still crawl to safety. Humans were not the fastest or the strongest species in the galaxy, but they were the hardest to kill. On the 5th day, Princess came to visit. She walked into the healing room quietly, followed by 2 guards who looked very unhappy. She carried a small plant in a pot. The plant had blue flowers that glowed softly. "I brought you this," she said, setting the plant next to his bed. "It is from my personal garden. The flowers never die. They glow forever." Looked at the gift. It was beautiful. It was also probably worth more than his life. "Thank you, Princess," he said. His voice was still rough but stronger than before. "You should not be here. It is not proper." "I do not care about proper," said. She sat on a chair next to his bed. The guards moved closer, hands on their weapons, but she waved them back. "You saved my life. Proper has nothing to do with that." Did not know what to say. He was not used to kindness from the people who owned him. "Why did you do it?" asked. Her silver eyes looked into his. "You could have run away. You could have let the guards handle it, but you threw yourself in front of those shots. You almost died. Why?" Thought about the question. Why had he done it? He was a slave. The princess was not his family. She was not his friend. She was not even his own species. There was no logical reason for him to risk his life. But logic had nothing to do with it. "I saw a child in danger," said simply. "I could not watch a child die when I could stop it. Even though my people treat you like an animal." "Yes." Was quiet for a moment, then she smiled. It was a sad smile. "My mother says humans are simple creatures," she said. "She says you act on instinct like animals, but I do not think that is true. I think humans just see things differently. You see a child, not a species. You see a person, not a rank." Nodded slowly. "Maybe that is true. Humans have a saying, when someone is in trouble you help them first. You ask questions later." "I like that saying," said. "I will remember it." She visited him every day after that. Sometimes for only a few minutes, sometimes for an hour or more. She told him about her lessons and her tutors. She told him about the books she was reading. She told him about her dreams of traveling to other worlds and seeing the galaxy. And listened. He always listened. It cost him nothing to listen, and it seemed to mean everything to her. On the 10th day, the doctors came with news. They looked nervous. "Your wounds are almost completely healed," the head doctor said. She was looking at a screen filled with numbers and images. At this rate, you will be fully recovered in another week, maybe less." "That is good news," said. "It is impossible news," the doctor replied. "Those wounds should have taken months to heal, if you survived at all. We have studied your body while you slept. We have learned things about humans that we did not know." She paused, looking at him with new eyes. "Your species is terrifying," she said quietly. Did not know how to respond to that. The doctor continued. "Your muscles produce a chemical when damaged that speeds healing. Your bones become harder after they break. Your immune system can adapt to any disease within days. Your brain can suppress pain to levels we cannot understand. You are built for survival in ways that should not exist." "We evolved on a difficult world," said. "Difficult?" The doctor shook her head. "We looked up data on your Earth. It is not difficult, it is a death world, massive predators, diseases everywhere. Natural disasters, poison plants, extreme temperatures, radiation from your sun. By all logic, nothing should survive there. But not only did life survive, it thrived. And humans became the dominant species." She stepped back, looking at him like he was a dangerous animal. "The Queen has been informed of our findings," she said. "She wishes to see you when you are strong enough to walk." Felt a chill in his blood. The Queen wished to see him. That could mean many things, most of them bad. But he said nothing. He simply nodded and waited. By the 14th day could walk. His legs were weak and his back still ached where the plasma had burned deepest. But he could stand. He could move. He could survive. Guards came for him in the evening. They did not speak. They simply pointed at the door and waited. Followed them through the palace. They walked through halls he had never seen. Beautiful halls with paintings on the walls and statues made of crystal. They walked past nobles who stared at him with fear and curiosity. They walked until they reached a door made of solid gold. The throne room. The guards opened the door. Inside, the room was massive. The ceiling was so high that clouds could form there. The floor was a single piece of polished stone that reflected like water, and at the far end, on a throne made of light itself, sat Queen. She was alone. No guards, no servants, just the Queen and the empty room. "Come forward," she said. Her voice echoed in the vast space. Walked. His footsteps were the only sound. The distance seemed to take forever. When he finally stood before the throne, he dropped to his knees and lowered his head. It was the proper thing to do. "Look at me," the Queen commanded. Raised his eyes. The Queen was looking at him with an expression he could not read. Not anger, not disgust, something else. Something he had never seen on a face before. "You should be dead," she said. "My doctors say your wounds were fatal. They say no species they know of could survive what you survived. Yet here you stand." "Yes, Your Majesty. You are a slave, a human slave, the lowest creature in my palace, and yet you threw your body in front of plasma fire to save my daughter." "Yes, Your Majesty." The Queen leaned forward slightly. "Why?" It was the same question it asked, gave the same answer. "I saw a child in danger. I could not let her die." The Queen was silent for a long moment. Then she stood from her throne. She walked down the steps slowly, gracefully, until she stood directly in front of. She was close enough to touch, close enough to kill him with a single word. "Rise," she said. Stood, they were face to face now. The Queen was taller, but not by much. Her silver eyes looked into his brown ones. "I was wrong about humans," she said quietly. "I thought you were weak, fragile, worthless, but you are not, are you?" Did not speak. He did not know what to say. "We need to talk," the Queen said. "You and I, about what you really are, and about what you could become." She turned and walked back toward her throne. "Tomorrow night," she said without looking back. "Come to my private chambers, tell no one, do you understand?" "Yes, Your Majesty." The Queen sat on her throne again. For a moment she almost looked human, almost looked uncertain. "You may go," she said. bowed and walked away. His heart was pounding, his mind was racing. Something was changing, something big, and for the first time since he was captured, felt something strange in his chest. Hoping. The next night came slowly. Spent the day pretending everything was normal. He cleaned. He carried. He kept his head down, but his mind was somewhere else. It was in the throne room facing the queen, wondering what she wanted from him. When darkness fell over the palace, made his way through the quiet halls, he knew the path to the royal quarters. He had cleaned near there many times, but he had never gone inside. Servants like him were not allowed. 2 guards stood at the entrance to the queen's private wing. They looked at with suspicion. "State your purpose," one of them said. "The queen summoned me," replied. The guards looked at each other. They clearly did not believe him. A human slave summoned by the queen, it was unthinkable. But then one of them touched a device on his arm. He listened for a moment, then nodded. "You may pass," he said. There was confusion in his voice. Walked past them. The halls here were different from the rest of the palace, warmer, more personal. There were paintings of the royal family on the walls. He saw the queen as a young woman. He saw a man he did not recognize. He saw Princess as a baby. A servant appeared and led him to a large door. "The queen is inside," the servant said. Then she walked away quickly as if she did not want to be near him. Knocked. "Enter," came the queen's voice. He opened the door and stepped inside. The room was not what he expected. It was simple. A large window showed the night sky filled with stars. There was a fireplace with strange blue flames. There were comfortable chairs and shelves filled with books. There was no gold, no crystal, no display of wealth and power. Queen sat by the fire. She was not wearing her royal robes. She wore simple clothes, gray and soft. Her silver hair was loose around her shoulders. Without her crown and her throne, she looked almost normal, almost like a regular person. "Sit," she said, pointing to a chair across from her. Sat. The chair was more comfortable than anything he had ever touched. "You are nervous," the queen observed. "Your heart rate is elevated, your muscles are tense." "Yes, your majesty, I do not know why I am here." "I want to understand you." The queen's silver eyes reflected the blue flames. "I have read the reports about your species. I have listened to my doctors, but reports and doctors cannot tell me everything. I want to hear it from you. What are humans, really?" Thought carefully before speaking. "Humans are survivors," he said. "That is what we are at our core. Everything else comes from that." "Explain." "Our world was dangerous, very dangerous. Most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds that were kind to them. Safe worlds, stable worlds. Earth was not kind. Earth was violent and cruel. The weather could kill you. The animals could kill you. The water could kill you. Even the other humans could kill you." The queen listened silently. "So we adapted," continued. "Our bodies learned to heal fast because injuries were common. Our brains learned to feel less pain because pain was constant. Our hearts learned to never give up because giving up meant death. The doctors said you should have died from your wounds. They said no known species could survive them. Might not survive them, many species would not, but humans are different. We can survive almost anything. We can lose limbs and keep fighting. We can lose blood and stay conscious. We can be broken in every way and still stand up." The queen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. "I had a mate once. The king's father. He was strong and proud, the strongest I had ever known. One day he was wounded in battle, a wound that was not even fatal by our standards, but his body gave up. It simply stopped trying. He died in my arms. Did not know what to say. I watched you take plasma fire to your spine," the queen continued. "I watched your body burn, I watched you fall, and I thought this is another death, another loss. But then you moved. You actually moved. You lifted your head and asked if my daughter was safe." Her silver eyes were wet, tears, had not known could cry. "How?" she asked. "How can you be so broken and still care about others?" "That is what humans do," said simply. "When we love something, we protect it, no matter the cost." "Love," the queen tilted her head. "You love my daughter." "I care about her. She is kind. She is curious. She talks to me like I am a person, not a thing. In this palace where I am nothing, she makes me feel like I matter. She speaks of you often. She says you tell her stories about Earth. She says you make her laugh. She is a good child." "She is a target." The queen's voice became hard again. "The outer clans will not stop. They want my line ended. They will try again and again until they succeed. Then protect her better. Give her guards who will not run." "Guards run because they value their own lives. That is rational. That is logical. What you did was not rational. You had nothing to gain and everything to lose." "Maybe that is true, but sometimes the right thing is not the rational thing." The queen stood and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars. "I have ruled this empire for 50 years, she said. "I have commanded armies. I have crushed rebellions. I have made choices that killed millions. I thought I understood strength. I thought strength meant power. It meant control. It meant making others obey." She turned to face. "But watching you throw yourself in front of those shots, I saw a different kind of strength. A strength I did not know existed. The strength to sacrifice everything for someone else. The strength to die for a person you barely know." Stood as well, he did not know why. It felt right. "Every human has that strength," he said. "We are born with it. Parents die for children. Soldiers die for strangers. Friends die for friends. It is not special. It is just who we are. It is special to us, are logical. We calculate risk and reward. We do not throw away our lives for others. It is not in our nature." She stepped closer to him, close enough that he could see every detail of her face, the fine lines around her eyes, the slight trembling of her lips. "I am afraid," she said quietly. "For the first time in my life I am truly afraid, not of the outer clans, not of death. I am afraid that I cannot protect my daughter. I am afraid that my guards will fail and she will die and I will be alone." Looked into her silver eyes. "Then find someone who will not fail," he said. "Find someone who will die before letting harm reach her." "I believe I already have." The words hung in the air between them. "You want me to guard the princess," said. It was not a question. "I want you to do what you already did. Protect her. Stay by her side. Be the shield that never breaks." "I am a slave." "You were a slave. As of this moment you are free. I will have the papers written by morning, but I am not offering you freedom alone. I am offering you a place in my court, a position of honor, a purpose." Was silent, his heart was beating fast. Freedom, purpose, things he had thought he would never have again. "Why me?" he asked. "There are other humans, stronger ones, better trained." "Because trusts you, because you have already proven yourself. Because when I look into your eyes, I see something I have never seen in any." "What do you see?" The queen's voice was barely a whisper. "I see someone who will not fail her, someone who will not run, someone who will stand between my daughter and death itself and refuse to move." She took his hands in hers. Her skin was cool and smooth. "Will you do this, Han? Will you protect my daughter? Will you stay?" Looked at the queen. He thought of Princess. He thought of the small child who smiled at him in secret, the curious girl who asked about rain and snow, the kind heart in a palace of cold logic. "Yes," he said, "I will protect her, I will stay." The queen smiled. It was a small smile, but it changed her entire face. For that moment she was not a queen. She was just a mother, grateful and relieved. "Thank you," she said, "thank you." And for the first time in years, Han felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. V.